Best shows of the year. What did you watch this year? We watched really different things. So this category is going to be, we're going to finally get away from liking the same things.
Yeah. Obviously, I watched the Rick and Morty. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones with it, mama.
And then other than that, there wasn't like really a show. Stranger Things, I watched that.
Stranger Things.
Other than that, like there was not really like a TV show that I watched that much.
Yeah.
That I was like very invested or interested in. But
Dragon Ball Super.
Dragon Ball Super, of course, Tournament of Power, it's not done yet. So I don't think I'm going to put it on this list only because it's not done.
Okay.
But Dragon Ball Super had a great year. I know a lot of people criticize it for the animation styles and storylines and plot holes and complaining because that's what a lot of fan bases like to do.
They love complaining.
But I think I'm going to go with, for my show of the year, it's tough. I think it's between Game of Thrones and Rick and Morty, but I think I'm going to go Rick and Morty.
Game of Thrones with it, mama. He took the knife out his back and he stabbed Game of Thrones with it, mama. Yeah. That was a really bad joke. Sorry. I watch a lot more TV than Bernie, I think. Recently, not so much, but I did watch a lot of TV this year. A lot of good shows came out. Stranger Things 2, you mentioned. Good show. I think Stranger Things 2 is never going to win any awards for me, just for the mere fact that I think it's like really like a palatable show. Like anybody can watch Stranger Things and enjoy it, but they don't do anything that's so crazy that it's like, I don't. It's hard to explain. It's like a J.J. Abrams movie where everybody's gonna like a J.J. Abrams movie for the most part, just because he makes them very simple and it's just like entertaining to most people. Legion came out this year. I don't know if you watched that show at all. It's really,
I heard
really
about it.
Very entertaining. One of the most like visually intense shows I've ever seen. Like it's just like the fact that they did that on TV is crazy. Game of Thrones, I actually stopped watching halfway through. I couldn't make it through it. I didn't really like it very much, which I think I might be the only person on the face of the earth who did that with Game of Thrones. I just kind of got bored of it. I just couldn't keep going. I think this was kind of a weak season for them. I might come back eventually. But my winner, easily my winner, a show that not enough people have watched. There's a reason that the last season was this year. The Leftovers. HBO show. It's a great show. The final season came out about mid-year this year. I think like towards maybe the end of the summer, middle of the summer. That show is incredible. Go watch it. There's only 3 seasons of it. They're only like 8 episode seasons, so it's really like a quick watch. And it's a beautiful show. Filled with great acting and great directing and cinematography. Go watch it. Let's move on, Bernie. Worst TV show of the year. Did you watch any like awful shit this year?
I watched a show that I normally watch, Arrow.
Bad.
This was a bad season. Basically, I don't want to spoil anything for you. This is after the island incident. I know you're not gonna watch it, but
I'm not gonna watch it.
just a bad season. I think the character development in some aspects is really bad. I think the storytelling that they want to say in this is also bad, and just like the motivation and kind of interest in the characters have also changed, and also the way that the writers are forcing a love interest story that the fans have not wanted since you've ruined it the first time. So, I mean, not to go too in depth to it, it's just one of those things that I was very disappointed in after having such a great season last season.
Yeah.
To this season where I'm just like highly disappointed that they couldn't capitalize and kind of change situations, especially after the ending of last season.
Yeah.
Where it was left on a major cliffhanger because you didn't know who was going to die. And then, it just leads to only one person dying, and then the rest of the characters are fine. I think they missed on an opportunity there, but that's just my opinion on worst show of the year.
Well, I'm going to pick a different superhero show.
Oh, but if I could pick, like, one show, Raw. Raw would be, like, the worst.
Raw. All right, we're going to take the every year show.
Yeah.
Raw, every week. So my worst of the year.
What's your worst?
It's another superhero show. I'm going to pick...
Gotham?
No, Iron Fist. Came out on Netflix this year. I don't know if you watched it. I watched some of it. I couldn't make it through it. It was a fucking terrible. Awful television show. So incredibly boring to take a character as kind of like he's very like a unique character, the Iron Fist, and he has a pretty cool power in comparison to a lot of the other Marvel characters that they've shown so far in their cinematic universe, as they like to call it.
Right.
And make it so boring, just such a snooze fest the whole way through. Absolutely terrible. That show is awful. Don't watch it. That wins my award. All right, Bernie, my boy, we're moving into it. Best movie of the year.
Best movie of the year.
Best movie, or we should just call it movie category because we're going to do the best and the worst again, of course. This is one of the best years for movies in probably the last decade, in my opinion. I think just every single month you have an incredible movie that came out. Let me hear. I have a lot of thoughts on this topic, but let's hear what you got to say.
Well, there is a lot of movies that I liked. I will mention a couple of them. Of course, we had. Where are we at here? Star Wars came out.
Yep.
A lot of people said that was like a really good movie. I know it was a little bit mixed with the fans, especially the fandom.
A lot of it mixed.
Some people said it was probably one of the better Star Wars movies in a while. Another one, Dunkirk. Get Out.
Can't go wrong with Get Out.
Get Out was another good one. And I believe I had one more. I think Blade Runner was in contention for me.
Blade Runner, yeah. Loved it.
And those are just kind of my movie like nominations and shout-outs.
All right, I'm going to throw a lot of names out here really quick. All
Throw them out.
You said Get Out. We got Dunkirk. Pretty good. Honestly, I wouldn't put it on my list, but it deserves a mention. Star Wars, 100% agree. Love it. It's probably the second best Star Wars movie of all time, in my opinion. Very controversial from a hardcore Star Wars fan like myself. Blade Runner 2049, like you mentioned, is an incredible movie.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Driver is an incredible movie. Logan is an incredible movie. You got It. You got Thor Ragnarok, which is probably the best, most entertaining Marvel movie of the last couple of years.
Damn.
What else do we got? War for the Planet of the Apes, which is also an incredible movie. This is a great year, guys. If you weren't watching movies in 2017, get on it. All right? John Wick Chapter 2, great movie. Spider-Man Homecoming is a great movie. Doesn't belong in the best of this list, but it is a good movie. It Comes at Night, super underrated horror movie that came out earlier on in the year. Go watch that shit. It's awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We're going to save that for the second list.
I heard that. I heard a lot about. I learned a lot of people say that.
Alien Covenant is an awesome movie. Probably the best alien movie since Aliens in the 80s. Oh, man. This, is just a great year. From back to front, there's so many good movies. And honestly, even the bad movies were super entertaining a lot of the times. Like, some of the most fun I had watching movies this year were watching the really bad ones.
Okay.
Which is a hobby of mine in general. I like to watch bad movies. But this year especially, some of the really bad ones we've got have been great. Last movie I wanted to mention, and I missed it. A Ghost Story is a great movie. It's starring Casey Affleck. It's a great movie. But like I said, this year's been so good, and it's so hard for me to pick. And I was telling Bernie this off camera, but this is honestly easily the hardest category for me to pick. Because so many of these movies are movies that I've already watched multiple times, and I will continue to watch for many years to come. I saw in theaters 3 times. I love that movie. I've seen Star Wars already twice.
Yeah, I saw it twice as well.
Thor, I want to see again. I hope it stays in theaters long enough for me to go see it again. I liked it that much. Blade Runner, I saw twice. Loved it. Get Out, I own it. I bought it the day it came out. I've already seen it probably 5 times. That movie's so entertaining.
Damn.
So what this category is going to boil down to me is weighing what I actually like. Because I like to pick what's my favorite, and then I like to pick my best movie of the year. And I always like to separate the two because I think it's an important distinction, because sometimes my favorite thing is not necessarily the best thing of the year. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick 2 winners for this category.
2 winners?
I'm going to pick 2 winners. My favorite and then the best, all right?
Okay.
The best movie I've seen all year is got to be Get Out. I think just from beginning to end, it's such a well-written movie. It's really well shot. The acting is incredible, and it's so unique too. Like just from the way the story is told to just basically everything about the movie is really just like a unique setup for a big movie. But yeah, we're gonna move out of that. Get Out, best movie of the year for me. My favorite comes down to two movies. One, I was not expecting to like at all, and I loved it. That's It. I love the book. I thought seeing the trailers, the movie was going to be one of the worst things I'd ever seen because I thought the trailers were so bad. Then the movie came out and I watched it. I love it. It's so good. And then Star Wars, I got to pick, is my contender because I think it's such a great movie and I'm such a big Star Wars fan. But just for the mere fact that I understand why people are unhappy with Star Wars, I can see why. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And the fact that I understand it means that they have good reason to feel that way.
Yeah. Because
I don't think anybody walks out of that movie and says, everybody's going to love this, you know? Any Star Wars fan, like, there's a good reason why a big Star Wars fan wouldn't like that movie because it changes so much of what has been true in Star Wars for 30 plus years. But it is just like, it was such a shock. That's my favorite movie of the year. I had no inclination that movie was going to be good at all, let alone be such an entertaining movie after multiple watches. And as a horror movie fan, I think this was such a good year because the two best, like my favorite and best movie are both horror movies. Like Get Out is a horror movie and so is It. Great movies. Loved them both. What's your pick, Bernie?
My pick boils down to just the movie that I enjoyed the most as a favorite movie and also movie of the year.
Oh, he's going to make it one award from him.
Get Out.
Get Out?
Get Out was just that good of a movie. Good message behind it. The actor, or not the actor, the director, I can't remember which it's
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. I was trying to remember the Key and Peele, but yeah, Jordan Peele. Just a great vision as a director, so I'm very excited, looking forward to his movies. Mm-hmm. Creating a new franchise, that's like it boils down to me, is creating a new concept that hasn't been shown before. That's what I like to see in movies, and that's why it's one of the reasons I picked it as my movie of the year. Mm-hmm. I just think it's one of those things where movies today are very kind of copycat paste league, where it's like, I don't know why I call it a league, because it's not a league, but it's very, let's just take old ideas, bring them up new. This Get Out was just a new concept, a new idea that worked wonders, and Peele's got to be commended for that, and that's the reason why it's my movie of the year.
And taking just his style of writing and transforming it, you can just feel the love for horror movies in that movie. Mm-hmm. And it's really impressive to watch. Just honorable mention, just because it affected me very greatly, is Blade Runner. Like, I feel like that movie, and I never had a chance to make a video on it, but that movie, when you sit down and break it down to its pieces, what the point of the movie is such an influential piece of art. Mm-hmm. Go watch that movie again. It's the same thing as Star Wars. It's very divisive. Everybody is on one side or the other. They either love it or hate it. There's usually a good reason for that, why somebody would feel that way. It's really an important movie. It's good shit. Go check it out if you haven't already. And if you didn't like it, go watch it again. I did forget. I keep forgetting stuff and going back to it later. But TV shows, I forgot. It almost might be my co-winner. TV show called Taboo that was on FX this year with Tom Hardy. That show is great. It came out right in the beginning of the year, so I couldn't remember if it was the end of 2016 or 17 or the beginning of 17. It did come out mostly this year, so call it a 2017 show. That show is awesome. Severely underrated, not appreciated by a lot of people. Go watch that shit too. That was a great show. Let's talk worst movies of the year. My most anticipated list of all of them. Because there's some really good bad movies this year. You got any picks that come off the head? Top of the head? Top of the dome piece?
There was a couple. obviously, I think we talked about it a little bit off screen.
You got to mention that one.
The Emoji Movie.
I watched this movie. I have kids, guys. So I watched part of the Emoji Movie. Holy God, that is insufferable to watch. It's literally the stupidest humor I've ever seen anywhere. It's just so poorly written. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think they just basically wanted to capitalize on the new generation of kids growing up with iPhones and iPad tablets with the emoji symbols, and they're just like, hey, let's just make an emoji movie. And
kids love those emojis now. Kids love emojis.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And
I hate them.
And if we have to grade this movie based on an emoji, it's the shit emoji.
No, that's too nice.
That's too nice? What would you give it?
People like the shit emoji. I don't like it, but I'll give it an eggplant. Eggplant out of 5.
Eggplant out of 5. That's another movie. I think the Transformer movie I wasn't really a big fan of.
That movie should almost not count for the mere fact that it's like...
It is unanimously the worst movie.
It's just like those movies are all bad. Yeah. The fact that they're still coming out is just a travesty against justice.
It just ruins the franchise.
It makes me want to watch it. Honestly, I think I'm going to watch that movie tonight, guys. Next time on the podcast, I'm going to review Transformers, all right? Stay tuned, because I will watch it. Other really bad movies. Valerian in the Planet of 1,000 Suns or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see it. I didn't know anything about it. And a friend of mine wanted to go see it. So I embarked upon this journey. That is one of the stupidest pieces of garbage I've ever watched in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So bad, but so fun to watch because it is so stupid. I really enjoyed how bad it was because it really was like one of the most entertaining watches of the year.
Right.
Because I had no idea what anyone was talking about. It was like a foreign language film. It was crazy. Go watch that shit. It was crazy. Mother is a movie I just watched starring Jennifer Lawrence. It's very kind of like a weird movie. It's Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. That movie is awful. It's like an allegory for domestic abuse. And the movie is just it's too weird to even understand. I watched it. It really freaked me out because it was so weird and there's some really disturbing scenes in it. But that movie is just downright atrocious. Minus a couple parts that are kind of entertaining. Or actually well written.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that movie's pretty bad. What else do we got?
This is just crazy to me, just going back to the Emoji Movie. It got a 12 Metascore.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I only watched maybe 20 minutes of it and I turned it off because it was that bad.
Where'd you watch that?
I just, legal stream.
Oh, you just checked it out?
Just checked it out just because I was like, okay, Emoji Movie. Let's see what it's about. Mm-hmm. Now it makes me kind of want to watch the whole thing and just see how bad it is.
I watched maybe 65, 70% of it. Good Lord, it's so hard to sit through. It's like the Eminem. It's like Revival, but a movie.
No, oh God.
I'm gonna start cutting to the nitty gritty because there's some big ones that people are gonna disagree with, but I'm gonna tell you they're just awful films. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I watched it again 2 nights ago. I saw it the opening weekend because I love the first one. I like the comics a lot. Mm-hmm. Saw it again. Watched it on Netflix the other night. That movie is
did not improve.
It's insufferable. Barring any scenes with Drax, Dave Bautista, those are the only funny scenes in the movie. And even then, they kind of overdo those a little bit. But every other part of that movie is just so annoying. It's imagine, you go to a college class, right? And there's always that one kid in your class who's a super nerd, and they want to show that they're a super nerd, so they are always dressing in super nerdy outfits and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? A person who's a nerd just to show off that they're a nerd. That makes sense? Okay,
yeah. That's so a hipster.
A hipster nerd where they're I'm a nerd, guys. Yeah, I read comic books. That's that movie in a nutshell. It's everything about it is we're a comic book movie and we're funny. Laugh at us. Laugh with us. We're so funny and this movie is so great and the music is so fun to listen to. Awful garbage. Get it out of my face.
Yeah, I just think it comes down to just thinking about that movie, what the success of the first one was and how good it was to now where it's at. It just kind of disappoints me because I was really had high hopes for the movie.
I did too.
But it ended up not delivering, which is always the case.
It's just absolute nightmarish film. And it might win my award. I haven't decided because we still have a couple more movies to talk about. Pokemon the movie. I choose you. The Great Wall came out this year. Matt Damon as an Asian man.
Yeah,
on the Great Wall
controversy.
of China.
The controversy with him.
Terrible film. I watched that too, actually. The Mummy is on a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. It's not that bad. It's honestly not that bad.
I still like the first Mummy, though.
It's just not that bad of a movie. Like, people are very, like, hard on a movie that they probably shouldn't be. Baywatch, I didn't even need to watch that.
I watched Baywatch. It was pretty bad.
Garbage.
I think the only reason why it did so well in the box office just because of The Rock.
Yeah. All right. Another absolutely awful movie. Jigsaw.
Oh, yeah.
The newest film in the Saw franchise. I watched that the opening weekend. Absolutely hot trash.
Was it at least funny or no?
There's nothing good about it.
Like, it wasn't, like, funny in terms of how over the top ridiculous it was?
No,
or no?
there was nothing funny about it. Honestly, there's one scene that kind of made me uncomfortable because it was really gross. And even then, I was just like...
Ugh.
It was
shivered
like,
right there.
It was, like, not even... Like, I like watching, like, gory movies and stuff. Like, I love horror movies. It was just, like, the one scene in the movie that was actually semi-well done was so uncomfortably well done that I just didn't want to watch it anymore. I was like, no thanks.
Now I'm interested in it. I kind of want to watch it.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it?
Don't suffer.
What about the Smurf movie?
The Smurf movie. I didn't watch that. I didn't even know it came out.
Me neither. I'm looking at your screen right now.
They have, like, big stars in that movie, though.
Yeah.
All right, this is the hidden awful movie of the year. Are you guys ready? Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which is a very popular book series that was well after my time, but I've watched the movies, all right? They're really fun to watch, have a couple drinks, all right, and watch those movies. The first two are mildly entertaining to the point where it's like almost like, oh, like that's kind of funny and I wasn't expecting it, right? Still not good, but like there's moments where it's like, oh, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The third one came out this year, all right? They recast everybody in the movie. No explanation. It's just the sequel to the movies with an entirely new cast. They're all awful. They're way worse than the other people. It's really funny. So go watch it. Watch the first two and then watch the third one. And keep in mind that this is like the third in a series. And they've just recast 100% of the cast. Every single character is portrayed by a different person.
Oh my God.
It's awesome. It's such a train wreck. It's so funny. It's so funny. I think, honestly, my award is going to have to go to... I've heard that's terrible. My award's going to have to go to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That movie fucking sucks, guys. Sorry to any Guardians of the Galaxy mega fans who like the second one. If you like it, you're lying to yourself, or you're the exact person that I described that the movie is similar to, which is somebody who is a hipster nerd. That's probably you. You like that movie. That's why. Thanks for subscribing.
Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, I mean, there was just so many, like, just thinking about it now, there were so many good movies, like you said, a great year for movies, but it also had some really bad moments.
Oh, fuck, I forgot one. There's one. Keep going, though.
Okay, well.
Oh, are you ready? Here, I'll just do it. I remember the name of the movie. This is easily the best bad movie of the year. This wins because it's so fun to watch. A Cure for Wellness.
Cure for Wellness.
Which was supposed to be a horror movie. It's not scary. It doesn't make any sense. It's really funny. It's the guy who's in Valerian, right? He was I can't even remember his name. His name is like Dane DeHaan or whatever. He was in Spider-Man 2, and he was like the Green Goblin.
Oh, really?
It's that guy. So he's in A Cure for Wellness. This guy has had to have easily one of the worst years years of being a big actor ever. Because every movie he put out this year is one of the worst things ever made. And this movie is so fun. Go watch it, guy. I'm telling you, you're gonna be entertained by it. But not for any of the right reasons. It's so funny. That'll wrap up the movie discussion.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, the worst movie to me, Transformers. I know you said you couldn't put it on the list, but I have to. It was just that bad. It's kind of like what we did with the music with Revival of Eminem.
You're going to give it to it anyway.
I'm just going to give it to it anyway. It was just that bad. And then second Emoji Movie.
I'm giving it to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Secondary award goes to Jigsaw because that movie was just so infinitely depressing to watch.
Yeah.